I see the need for action. I see the need for a great reset.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset.
History would look at this crisis as the great opportunity for reset.
We have a unique but rapidly shrinking window of opportunity to reset ourselves on a more sustainable path.
The Great Reset.
The Great Reset.
The Great Reset.
Great reset.
What does the Great Reset look like?
We can't just build back to what it was before. We have to build back better.
This moment also gives us a much greater chance to be radical and to do things differently, to build back better and to build back bolder.
We will build back better from the COVID crisis.
We're going to take an economy that had a lot of problems and we're going to make this economy work better going forward.
We're at the early stages of a sustainability revolution. It's empowered by the IoT and artificial intelligence. It has the magnitude of the Industrial Revolution, but the speed of the digital revolution.
The fourth industrial revolution in automation. The future is coming whether we like it or not, and we have to play catch up as quickly as possible.
When we talk about the Great Reset, it means also how can we do it to make sure that a majority of people are benefiting from it and not just a minority.
We must treat this new world order, this new world of COVID, we must treat this new world of COVID, even in our own homes, with a high level of care and caution.
And what the fourth industrial revolution will lead to is a fusion of our physical, our digital, and our biological identities.
Here's a British comedian taking the mickey out of the Germans.
Die gegenwärtige Pandemie und der Klimawandel haben eines gemeinsam. Sie kennen keine Grenzen und zeigen uns.
My mistake. That was, of course, the heir to the throne of Australia and Great Britain, Prince Charles, now selling his eco-fascist fantasy of the Great Reset to the Germans themselves, or should I say, der große Neustart, as Klaus Schwab and his cronies call it in their native tongue. This is the grand plan developed by the World Economic Forum that we chatted to James Delingpole about, in cahoots with the United Nations, in league with the International Monetary Fund, and supported by all sorts of prestigious institutions, including, apparently, the Crown of England, who have yet to disown Prince Charles's ever-increasing and unhinged rantings. This is the Great Reset, der große Neustart, promised to begin next year to transform all Western economies, including ours, by transferring the authoritarian tools currently being used to eradicate the coronavirus, i.e. lockdowns and forced business closures, even stealing your own property rights, to tackle the imaginary climate crisis.
Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight the severe virus, but to shape the system.
We have a unique but rapidly shrinking window of opportunity to learn lessons and reset ourselves on a more sustainable path. It is an opportunity we have never had before and may never have again. So we must use all the levers we have at our disposal, knowing that each and every one of us has a vital role to play.
The Great Reset is a welcome recognition that this human tragedy must be a wake-up call. It is imperative that we reimagine, rebuild, redesign, reinvigorate and rebalance our world. Rebalancing investment, harnessing science and technology, and advancing the transition to net zero emissions, all elements of the Great Reset, are fundamental to building the future we need.
You won't own anything and you'll be happy, is one of their utopian communist slogans. Seriously. Not sure your subjects would agree with that one, Prince Charles. Prince Charles's decision to throw his lot in with these crazies and now sell this eco-corporate fascism in the German tongue is unfortunate timing, to say the least, because here's what the levers used to control the coronavirus are currently being pulled in Germany itself. Yes, that's water cannons the other day being used this weekend, in fact, against anti-lockdown demonstrations in Berlin, against protesters who were simply demonstrating against attempts by the Reichstag, sorry, Freudian slip, I mean, of course, the Bundestag, to enshrine new and even more stringent and draconian lockdown legislation, such as enforcing mask wearing, banning the sale of alcohol, shutting down shops, and so on. And after having hosed down the protesters, the German police, Freudian slip, then went door-knocking, hunting down a man who dared to live stream the freedom protest.
Da. Die Polizei ist gerade da. Ja. Polizei! Ich will die Hände sehen! Auf den Boden, runter, beide! Runter auf den Boden! Geh runter!
Yesterday in Germany, that, Prince Charles, is what using all the levers available to us to enforce a political doctrine looks like. Totalitarianism. You, of all people, with your family history, Charles, shouldn't really be wandering around spruiking corporate quasi-fascism in the name of saving the planet. What a joke.
China is angry and wants the world to know. The Foreign Ministry has come out and cautioned Australia, the US and the UK to stay out of its matters or risk having their eyes poked out.
The threat could be getting very real very quickly. China issued this brazen warning overnight.
No matter if they have 5 eyes or 10 eyes, if they dare harm China's sovereignty, security and development interests, beware of their eyes being poked out and blinded.
It's targeted at the Five Eyes Alliance, made up of Australia, the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada and New Zealand. The group has collectively condemned China's recent crackdown on Hong Kong.
It's for daring to notice that China's breaching the commitments it made to the international community about Hong Kong's freedom.
The Foreign Ministry is holding no bars in its approach to the frosty relationship between Canberra and Beijing, explaining the current setback in relations is based on what they label as Australia's false stance on its core interests and concerns, urging the Australian government to correct wrongdoings. But
we are standing up for our nation's interests. What should we not be doing?
A sentiment echoed by the Treasurer.
When I wrote the book, I started to write it 4 years ago. It was published 3 years ago. It was sold, very interesting, over 1 million times in the world. And what is interesting is that 800,000 copies, more than 800,000 copies of those 2 million were sold in 3 countries alone: China, Japan, and South Korea. And you may be interested, who was the biggest buyer with 16,000 copies at the same time? It was the Korean military. Because the fourth industrial revolution will have a major impact also on warfare.
Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, that really grabbed my attention. Take a look at this.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset. This is our chance to accelerate our pre-pandemic efforts to reimagine economic systems that actually address global challenges like extreme poverty, inequality, and climate change. Building back better means getting support to the most vulnerable while maintaining our momentum on reaching the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the SDGs. Canada is here to listen and to help.
A 2030 agenda, an agenda we had before the pandemic, but the pandemic has given us an opportunity. You know, build back better. I feel like I've heard that before. You know, he says it as though it's his idea. Oh, look, there's somebody else that actually, that is what they're running, a campaign of Joe Biden's Build Back Better. And there it is, UK Prime Minister. This set me on an investigation. I said to the team, you know, I want you to look in, I want to look for certain words: New World Order, Fourth Industrial Revolution, Build Back Better, Great Reset. All of these things, are they the same Are they different?
Reset thing you keep hearing about. You know, that technocratic agenda to exploit COVID to centralise economic power and transform society into a social credit score, hyper-surveillance, transhumanist dystopia. Yeah, that one. Well, it doesn't exist. The New York Times said so. I mean, the World Economic Forum literally celebrated the Great Reset on the same day the New York Times published this article. Time magazine devoted an entire issue to it, but it still doesn't exist. Just like this video from 2 months ago of Justin Trudeau heralding the coronavirus pandemic as an opportunity for a reset doesn't exist.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset. This is our chance to accelerate our pre-pandemic efforts to reimagine economic systems.
He never said that. It was all just one empty conspiracy theory.
We're seeing a lot of people fall prey to disinformation, and if Conservative MPs and others want to start talking about conspiracy theories.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset.
Conspiracy theories.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset.
Conspiracy theories.
Reset.
Conspiracy theories.
Reset.
Conspiracy theories.
I mean, Dr. Strangelove here literally endorses in his own book, which is called COVID-19, The Great Reset, implantable brain chips that can read your thoughts, and the onset of Minority Report style pre-crime programs where you're deemed guilty before you've even committed a crime. He admits that COVID is not an existential threat, but that it's an opportunity for technocrats to reorder society via a Great Reset. The World Economic Forum publishes regular promo videos hyping the Great Reset, but it still doesn't exist. That is, if you're criticising it. If you praise it, then suddenly it does exist, and it's a good thing, because by redistributing wealth as part of the Great Reset, our beneficent overlords are going to fix inequality and help the little guy. Because globalist technocrats are really into helping the little guy. I mean, it's worked wonders so far. Amazon profit up 100%. Walmart profit up 80%. Target profit up 80%. Lowe's profit up 74%. Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, Google stock at record high. Small businesses 21% closed, revenue for the rest down 30%. Wow, so helpful! Thanks to lockdown, the CEOs of these companies have seen their personal wealth increase by tens of billions, while small businesses have lost over 200 billion. While cabbies in the UK are on starvation wages. But yeah, this Great Reset sounds like a worker's paradise. Oh yeah, and you know all those rules they made? Lockdowns, face masks, social distancing. Yeah, well, apparently the technocrats who made them don't have to abide by them. Do as we say, not as we do. Some Karen will screech at you in the street for not covering up, but Dianne Feinstein is apparently exempt indoors. Intelligence agencies are using cell phone networks to spy on pleb lockdown compliance. You're being told to cancel Thanksgiving, but Governor Gavin Newsom can dine with California Medical Association lobbyists inside a fancy $350 a meal French restaurant in violation of his own COVID-19 protocols he set for everyone else. And Lori Lightfoot can attend a pro-Biden street party while issuing stay-at-home orders to everyone else. The people who know the most about COVID aren't afraid of it at all. Interesting. Meanwhile, police in Australia are telling people they can't walk their dogs. They think you're stupid. Justin Trudeau, a normal Christmas is out of the question. But wait, the technocrats say that if we behave ourselves, they'll let us out of lockdown for a whole 5 days over Christmas. Thank you, globalists. How gracious of you. We're so grateful.
We had lockdown for other religions' festivals. Yes, we did actually.
Well, Diwali.
Why should the Christians get it easier? Seriously, why should we? Why should we be the ones that have to have our festival saved when we didn't do that for other religious festivals in the last few weeks?
Because we're a Christian country, you utter spoon. COVID-19 doesn't give a flying fuck about Christmas. If we have to make compromises this year, so be it. Oh, you mean like you didn't give a fuck about your son attending a super spreader Black Lives Matter protest? You said you were proud of him. So if we go round to Granny's on Christmas Day, eat the turkey, trash her house and then set fire to it, that'll make it okay, right? Matt Hancock says hugging will be banned this Christmas. Fuck off!
Your arms are through the bottom one, okay? My arms go through the top one.
Imagine being such an insipid normie that you see some snivelling technocrat telling you can't hug your own grandma on Christmas Day. And your reaction is, oh, okay then. Bollocks! And look who Hancock is busy mates with. Dr. Strangelove himself. Well, imagine my shock. Now they're going to issue freedom passes that force you to take the vaccine or get tested twice a week just to be able to leave your house.
Oi mate, have you got a license for that freedom?
Sorry to bother you. Can we just ask you how happy you're feeling right now?
I'm bloody miserable, actually. Pubs are shut. What do you expect?
The majority of Brits support making the COVID vaccine mandatory. Some are even clamouring to take the shot so they can attend live music events again. Inject me now! Imagine being such a mindless NPC that you beg to be injected just so you can see some shit band. Imagine a lifetime of being lectured and threatened by jumped up little twats like this.
The door is closed. If we have to ask you more than once to cover your nose, mouth, put your mask on, we are not going to be rude. We are not going to be nasty. We are going to simply take your seat number and your name. And when we get where we're going, you will either be arrested, fined, but you will also be placed on the no-fly list, meaning you will not be able to fly any airline for the rest of your life. We are government officials. This is government property. If you choose to act out of content or character on this aircraft, you will be arrested and face 20 years imprisonment, and you will also receive a $250,000 fine.
Sir, please you need to stop.
Still, at least if we take the vaccine, all this inane social distancing and mask wearing will come to an end. Right? Wrong?
Once the process is complete, does that mean they can take off their masks? They don't have to social distance? They can just go about their lives as before?
You know, I would recommend that that's not the case.
Can't wait for Biden's lockdown USA 2.0 and his national mask mandate.
What am I supposed to do?
Well, first pull up your mask.